What's going on, guys? It's Kyle again with DTOM Knives and Gear, and today we are going to be talking about this beauty, the Spyderco Paysan. Stay tuned. Welcome back, everybody. All right, we are finally ready to do the review of this beautiful, beautiful knife, the Spyderco Paysan. And this is a knife that I have wanted to try for a long, long time. These are actually not available right now from what I can tell, so I did pick this up on the secondary market from a very cool gentleman, Skimmy256. Definitely go check him out on Instagram. You might also see him around on some sellers markets because he is a knife collector. He does sharpening, so definitely check him out for sharpening as well, because he did sharpen this knife and holy crap is it sharp. Super cool guy. I'm hoping that, especially with this, if there's anybody out there dealing with him, that they can click on this video and know that he is good to go. So thank you very much, sir, for the wonderful transaction that we had. This was on a Facebook post or a knife group that I purchased this at, and I am super, super excited. I first saw this knife I wasn't really into Instagram at all before I started this channel, but I know I saw a few videos obviously on it, and I didn't really get interested until I saw Jake from Bearded Gear's channel. You guys hear about Jake all the time because he is just one of my best friends now in the community. It's a super cool dude. He had one of these, and boy, his review, I was like, oh yeah. And he was actually selling his, but at the time, I just couldn't pull the trigger. There's a lot of things going on, and so he ended up selling that, and I finally was able to pick one up, and I'm really glad that I did. This is just different than any other Spyderco in its arsenal. This is a Peter Rassenti design, who also designed the Nirvana. I have never handled the Nirvana, but I heard about a few little things that went on with the Nirvana that, and this one's a little bit bigger. You know, I like the bigger knife, so I really wanted to get this in hand, and I'm very, very glad that I did. So this is one of the Spydercos that comes, instead of the really crappy boxes that they send the rest of them in, comes in this nice little pouch, and with some information and whatnot. I want to get this off to the side, but it is definitely a premium knife. Now, most Spyderco knives I actually love. You guys know, if you've watched my channel, that I am kind of a Spyderco fanboy, and so that was one of the reasons that I really wanted to pick this thing up. But this one is above and beyond. It is a Taichung Taiwan Spyderco, and of course we all know that Taichung Taiwan does a really good job on their fit and finish, and they pulled out all the stops for this Peter Rassenti design. You can definitely tell that they worked closely together to be able to make this thing happen, and holy crap, is it good. Is it perfect? Probably not, but it's good. It's really good. I don't regret buying this at all. So, if you are familiar with this knife, you will know that it is an integral. As you see here, there is no split here for two scales sandwiched together like a conventional constructed knife. This means that this is one solid piece of titanium that has been milled out, lock bar and everything, to be able to make a wonderful, strong, and just difficult to manufacture knife. I've had one other integral on the channel so far, and that was the Benchmade Anthem. Having both of those in hand, I would put this even way, way beyond the Benchmade Anthem. Not that the Anthem was a bad knife. It wasn't. This is just way up more in my alley. The Anthem was a full titanium integral with 20 CV steel, and it was good. I love the fact that they changed the way they did the axis lock that got rid of the Omega spring. I really love that about that knife. This one is, of course, a titanium frame lock, and just the one thing that I really want everybody to take away from this is, if you don't know, integrals are definitely much harder to manufacture. First of all, if you mess up, boom, that's it. You mess up. One solid piece of titanium, and this one is super duper thin. So the tools that they had to use to get in there to get that deep, to have the finishing the way that it looks, usually when you have one scale for the titanium frame lock, they use a wire EDM machine, which is a copper wire that comes in and cuts this area out. And they can't do that, obviously, with a titanium frame lock. They also have got a lock bar insert in here, which is screwed from this outside. And to be able to put this in there and get everything lined up, not that difficult. I actually have seen some titanium frame locks or some integrals where the screws are actually coming in from the other side, and holy crap, how do they even do that? But the fit and finish on this knife is just hands down the best that I've ever held from Spyderco. The Titron factory nailed it out of the park. All the edges are nicely chamfered, rounded off. I love the design, the milling work on this handle that just makes for just a beautiful, beautiful knife. You do have jimping back here for, like a reverse grip if you need it. Other than that, I can kind of feel it back here because of my big old hands, but it's not painful in any way. Really, really nice. The insides in here might be just a little bit, sharper than the rest of the knife, but it's not bad. I mean, it's not bad at all. The way that they've done this huge chunk of S90V blade steel, which this is my first knife that I have actually owned in S90V. S90V is a premium steel, which focuses a lot on edge retention. So really excited about that. Let's see if we can get a little, so there you go, Spyderco CPM S90V. And then of course on this side you have Taichung Taiwan, and then there is the maker's mark for Mr. Peter Rassenti. So really, really cool. It does have a different pivot on this versus a lot of other Spydercos, and it's just sexy. It really, really is. This big chunk of S90V is a beautifully ground, kinda. I mean, it's a beautifully done blade. I love this blade shape, this Warncliffe blade shape. I love the way they did the edge break, because this thing is a stonewash, like a polished stonewash finish. And from what I understand, matter of fact, Dr. Frunky did a video on this particular knife, and I didn't realize this either, but apparently Peter Rassenti himself doesn't like to do this kind of a mirror stonewash finish because on S90V it's very difficult to pull off. And Spyderco did an excellent job. Let me wipe off some fingerprints here. An excellent job on this polished stonewash finish. Oh, just look at that. It is amazing, and they did such a great job. So you got to give them props for that 100%. Another thing that they did on this knife, of course, most of the time, the spider hole is very sharp. So when they did this tumbled finish, it broke down these edges to where the spidey hole is not sharp at all. Feels very, very good. And then it's almost like on this jimping that they crowned the part of the spine before they put in the jimping. And so it really makes for an excellent jimping. I usually like the really close together jimping like you find on the PM2 here. I usually prefer that, but this, holy moly, does it feel amazing as far as giving you enough grip, but not too bad. It just feels really comfortable. So they just knocked it out of the park as far as the fit and finish on this thing, and I really, really like it. One thing that they did fail on is the pocket clip. Now, this one is an aftermarket pocket clip. It originally comes with this. Now, I don't have to have a deep carry clip or anything like that, but this knife is really expensive. And it came stock with their regular spoon clip. Now, it does have kind of more of a stonewash finish, but it did not look good on the knife at all, in my opinion. So the guy who had this before me put this pocket clip on here, and it fits the knife to perfection. They also have Timaxis clips and all this stuff you can buy, but this deep carry clip, oh, I think it's MXG. Yeah, it's MXG deep carry pocket clip that just is stone washed, or it's kind of it's a stone wash. And so it really matches the blade pretty well. And so this is definitely the pocket clip to get for this knife if you own it. Take that other one off of there and throw it away because this looks so much better. It carries phenomenally in pocket. This knife is very, very good in the pocket. Oh, like it just disappears. Now, it's not the lightest thing in the world because it is one solid chunk of titanium, but of course the middle is, milled out and whatnot, but it does weigh about 4.4 ounces. And so some people might not like that. However, I mean, you've got a 3.88 inch blade on this thing. The overall length is 8.74, so it is a full size knife, a Kyle size knife, that is for sure. I love the size. They did one hell of a job as far as blade to handle ratio. I mean, just look at how much blade is in that handle. You don't have hardly any more room. When you hold this thing in your hand and flick out this knife, it's just like, whoa, that's a big blade. And I love it. It is absolutely amazing. It looks sexy as hell. Let's go ahead and do some size comparisons so you can kind of get an idea. Here it is against the Spyderco PM2. Got a little glare going on there. So there it is. You can see that it is definitely bigger than a PM2. So if the PM2 is a larger size for you, you might not like it. Of course, you guys know I like the big knives. So let's put it up against some more that may be in this, kind of close to this price range. There it is against the Koenig Arius. Pretty similar in size there. I'm going to bring this back in a minute to kind of give you some ergonomic answers to this knife. Here it is against the Todd Begg Steelcraft Bodega. Definitely about the same size as far as overall length, you get a little bit wider, a lot more going on the Steelcraft Bodega. And then another titanium frame lock that I just freaking adore and love, the Chavez 229. This one happens to be the hand satin Tonto version, but as you can see, a much smaller knife. This one is definitely a big boy. Now, the reason that this knife, in my opinion, isn't perfect for me is because of things that I believe a lot of people are going to love. So this thing is very thin. This thing is about 460 thousandths in this direction. So very, very thin, very nice in pocket. However, the fact that it comes pretty thin here and is thin here, ergonomically for me, it is just big enough for me to be okay with, because I don't like the fact that my big old sausage fingers kind of come and hit, I don't have a whole lot to kind of wrap my fingers around with. It's just enough for me to feel comfortable. If they would have made this thing any thinner, I probably would not like it. But ergonomically, it is very, very nice. Now they have this kind of different cutout right here, you see that, and then it comes down. So your main area of holding onto this knife is right here in the saber grip. My thumb does land on the jimping. If I'm getting really big bear down, I can still put my thumb here in this little swoop area and feel very comfortable locked in. But it does provide a little bit of area to choke up to get further behind the blade. It's not perfect. I do appreciate that it's there. You guys know me. I like a forward finger troll. If this thing had a finger troll, holy moly, whew, boy, that would be awesome. But it doesn't. So kind of like on the Koenig Arius here, it gets thin, but it also comes back out here. It just makes it a lot more ergonomic in my hand because of the thickness of the handle. So this is something that I tend to gravitate to because of the ergonomics. Feels better for me. That's why I tend to go that route. But for something sleek and just a dream in the pocket, it's definitely something that's not going to make me want to get rid of this knife. Not at all. And of course, especially people with smaller hands, I believe if you have smaller hands and you still like big knives, holy moly, you really can't go wrong with this guy. So what is the action like on this guy? I'm going to go ahead and tell you, as far as the handle and the hole placement, I don't know why, it's probably just me, but it's almost perfect for me as far as getting my middle finger flick in there and doing the forward finger flick, and even doing something that Spyderco knives I'm just never good at, getting the thumb flick down. It's in the perfect spot for me to be able to do all of those, and the fact that I can thumb flick it, which I hardly ever do, but if you're just getting the knife out to do some really quick work to get that done, something that I like to be able to do, and I can't do that with all of my Spyderco knives. This thing is in the perfect location for all of those, and of course the middle finger flick just makes me happy. The action on this thing is a very wonderful controlled drop shut action, and I'm going to do a video on knife actions, because I have a lot of different knives with the different actions, and I almost always say they're always I'm always saying that they're great, but they are different, and I like different actions. I like the fall shut, just boom, guillotine. I like the controlled fall shut actions. I like the very smooth hydraulic actions. So we will probably do a video on that coming up soon, but this one is really nice for it being, once you get past that detent, a controlled, just fall shut action. Detent on this thing, everybody says, is weak. And can you shake it out going like this? No. Can I shake out any knife that I have going like this? Whoops. Going like that? Yes. Almost every single knife in my collection I can shake out if I want to. So the fact that this knife does not come out in just regular shaking like this is okay with me. Yeah, the detent is, it's a little lighter than a lot of other knives, but it makes, for me, a wonderful action of this knife that doesn't impede the safety of me carrying it at all. And I know some videos out there have guys where they just don't like it because they're afraid of that. I don't see any problems with that at all. I've been carrying this like crazy, and it has never opened up in my pocket. So if you are scared of that, don't be. Anyways, final conclusions. I really like it. I knew that I probably would. When I got it in hand, I just was a little bit thinner in my big old meat hooks than I thought, but it turned out to be a very comfortable knife. The S90V is such a great steel that I'm a fan. I am definitely a fan. This stuff is, it's tough. And I know a lot of people love the S90V. I know Jake, he really loves his Spyderco. What is one that he has, an S90V? Oh, the Native? I think he has the Native in S90V. It's the fluted carbon fiber S90V version of the Native, and he loves it. And so I am definitely looking forward to having this and carrying it more. This basically just did all the EDC tasks that I am accustomed to, which is still very light work. But could this stuff handle it? Could this thing be strong enough for hard work? Yeah, I really do, because I really think so, because it is one piece of solid titanium. I don't think this thing is going to be, hard pressed to break anything. It is running on bearings, so hard use, maybe not as far as that is concerned, but the bearings are just absolutely smooth as can be. And the lock bar insert, because this thing is really thin on in here, it really took me a second to get used to that, because at first it was kind of like, wow, that's kind of hard to get out of the way, but it's really not once you learn how to disengage it. And then of course you can hear that. You hear that? It's just a tad bit of lock stick, but nothing compared to some that I have seen in the past. This kind of lock stick does not bother me at all, because it really doesn't hinder me in disengaging the knife. The lockup is probably at about 30%, and it just works for me. So I wouldn't worry about that if it's something that you have heard. The lock stick, well, I say that. There have been, I guess, a few when they first came out where they had some problems, sent back to Spyderco, but this one, I haven't had that. It definitely has just a little bit of a click there of lock stick, but nothing to really complain about, in my opinion. Not at all. So just a beautiful specimen, and I am so glad I finally have it in hand and am able to have this part of my collection. Guys, I love you all. Thank you so much for stopping by. This thing is amazing. If you've been thinking about it, it's going to probably have to be on the secondary market for right now. But keep your eyes open. These things are great. Thank you again to Skimmy256 for the wonderful transaction that we had. Definitely go hit him up on Instagram. Tell him how much that we love people like him that are easy to deal with in knife transactions. It just makes the whole community happy when that happens. So I love you guys. Stay safe in this crazy world that we are living in, and we will see you in the next one.